Hi, my name is Beth Azor, and I own shopping centers in South Florida. And this is my podcast, I Own a Shopping Center, Now What? So today I'm going to talk about a few things that I have learned over the years that may apply to you or may not apply to you depending on the size of your properties, how you manage it, how you lease it, etc. And these are just a bunch of miscellaneous things I'm throwing in for this episode. So first of all, light poles. So we number our light poles. So we put a little sticker on the bottom of every light pole so that when maybe me or my property manager or my director of operations is doing a light check, it's much easier to identify the light pole for the electrician for repair. This is something I learned when I bought a property and found that the light poles were all numbered. I did not come up with this myself. And I know I've spoken on previous episodes how important lights are. We do light checks weekly because of the liability. If you have lights out, it's a big problem. In Florida, and at some of my properties, I do have sensors, but they don't always work. And again, having a well-lit property is very, very important to your customers, and then it's very important to your tenants. It's very important to me. I have added lights on light poles when I didn't feel the lot was bright enough. I've recently done that. I just spent $5,000 and added, I think, 4 or 5 additional lights added to the poles. I've done that at other shopping centers also. In areas maybe in the back of the center where there's a corner with extra landscaping, I add lights. I'm always make sure that the trees around the lights are trimmed so they don't block the, what are those, candle foots, I think they're called. So the distance of where the lights shine down below in the lot. So that's light poles. Sweeping. I don't sweep my lots. The only way I would sweep a lot is if I had like a large power center, like maybe 400,000 square feet. I had a property that was 75,000 square feet. It was grocery anchored. It wasn't when I bought it. I added an Aldi, but I didn't sweep that lot either. I prefer to have a maintenance person or a porter that goes out into the lot and either blows the garbage into a corner and then picks it up. I just never believe that sweeping, unless you have a huge lot, is applicable to my types of smaller properties. And I see that when I buy properties, property owners are still sweeping the lots. I'd rather put the money into having a guy pick up the soda cans and the cigarette butts and all of that. Flowers. I put flowers at all of my entranceways. As you guys know how important I feel signage is. I think that colorful annuals or impatiens, what we have in Florida, if you're driving, and my properties are in very high traffic streets, 40, 50, 60,000 cars. So if you have bright flowers under, like, let's say the pylon signs or at the entranceways, I'm hoping it draws the eye to the properties. That's what I'm wanting it to do. I'm wanting it to capture the attention of the people driving by. It's not cheap, especially in Florida. In the summer, we can't really keep them alive, so we just put some kind of colorful plants. But during the months of, let's say, October to April, I probably change them out a couple times, and they're very colorful. I don't have so I have lockboxes at my properties where I can have a master key. The lockboxes are in the back. So in the lockbox, it might include a master key in case I lose mine or I forget mine or something. It might include the electrical room key, and it might include the roof hatch key. But I don't have lockboxes on my vacancies. I don't want people showing my space without me being there. Now, this is what I was just saying in the beginning of the podcast or the episode, that if I had a property, 10 hours away, I probably also wouldn't have lockboxes because I probably would have a local leasing agent or property manager involved. I just don't want someone on my property with a prospect like a broker Brokers call me all the time, mostly residential brokers, because I think they're used to this with their residential listings. Don't you just have a lockbox that I can show the space myself? I'm not interested in that. Management fees. So I'm involved with a new property recently, and the prior owner was not passing through the management fee to the tenants, even though the majority of the leases allowed for that. And we have this thing in the back of our properties. I'm going to forget the name of it. It's a utility. Anyway, pass through all the expenses. I also, even if I feel like it's a gray area, I pass it through and I let the tenant tell me why they think that I'm being too aggressive. Now, obviously with national leases, they're very restrictive, what's included and what's excluded. You have to follow what the leases say always. But in this case, with the management fee, it was clear, and he said he didn't want to overburden them. Now, this is a situation where we don't get the tenant sales, so I don't know what the occupancy costs are. So we have no idea if we're overburdening them. But in January, we're passing through all of the management fees, and we're also doing a CAMREC for the prior year on the management fee that wasn't collected. So I will find out who does not think that this is in their lease very soon. Vendors. So I have a list. I have it in my phone, but I also have it printed and it's in my car of all of my vendors that I use at the property, just in case my battery goes dead or in the middle of a hurricane, a storm. I have, like I said, a hard copy list, and then I have them in my notebook in my phone, in case I need to get a hold of an electrician, our porter, our maintenance guy, our landscaper, if we have a tree knocked down in the middle. And I think that my director of ops has it. We no longer have a property manager, but when we had a property manager, she had it in her car, a hard copy also, besides her phone. So just knowing, and that's updated when we change vendors, but at all times as the property owner, I want to know what would we use for this situation, and we have that. We're also part of a property management networking group in South Florida, which I highly recommend that you all form one, where we've over the years met people and invited them, their property managers, to our group. And that's a great group that when you are looking for a vendor, for you to call and say, hey, who are you guys using for, XYZ, security, roofing, and you get good feedback from your peers of who to use and who not to use. And along with that, and I might have talked about this in another episode, we on an annual basis do a vendor appreciation party or event where we invite all of our vendors, and I include my attorneys in this, not just the physical plant vendors. And I do a little speech. I thank them for them working hard for us and being available. And then we give gift cards to restaurants in our shopping centers as little kind of door prizes. Everyone gets to pick one out of the hat, so they never know if they're going to get, Las Spadas or Mission Barbecue. And then we host like a 5 to 7. We've done it at a pizza place at our shopping center, a barbecue place. We usually have beer, wine, drinks. We don't do alcohol drinks. It's like beer and wine and, water and soda. But they really like it. They get to meet each other, hopefully connect and do business with each other also. But I've been doing this since my prior company at Terra Nova. We started it there, and I've been doing it for all of the 20 years that I've been in my own business. And I think the last thing I wanted to talk about was events, but I'm going to hold that for the next episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you like the podcast, please like it, share it, subscribe. And if you have any questions, let me know, and I'm happy to answer them on the next episode. Have a great week.